I'm Iain Macphail. I'm the MD and Chief Visionary for IDM Group Scotland. I'm also a board director and site manager for Hebridean. You're listening to Good Stuff in Between.
If I could only read your mind with superhuman power, life would be a breeze sometimes. The good stuff's in between the lines. My thoughts and my feelings still tell 1,000 lies. But now you're taking away my sorrow, you're taking away my fear. We're not promised tomorrow, so let me hold you close, my dear. Nothing's gonna bring me down. No thinking about the past while we're building for tomorrow. Nothing's gonna bring me down.
Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Good Stuff in Between podcast with me, Shaun Milne. The show that's taking a delve behind the scenes of the music industry by seeking out the stories and the advice from the people who are making it happen. In this episode, I'm speaking with Iain Macphail, the MD and Chief Visionary for IDM Group Scotland, consisting of IDM Safety Solutions, IDM Heb and IDM Energy. He's also Site Manager and Board Director of the Hebridean Celtic Festival and has been involved for more than 20 years as it's grown not only from strength to strength, including a record capacity this year, but in its complexity in delivering an event that literally brings in millions of pounds to the Highlands and Islands economy. We talk about how he got involved, the evolution of his job, and how he helps ensure the safety and smooth running of the festival event in terms of logistics, bringing it all together, setting up of tents and stages, and the safety of the thousands and thousands of music fans who flock to Lewis every year. He delves into past challenges, future dreams, and some of the good stuff in between. It's a far-reaching chat which lifts the lid on just what happens behind the scenes, and for reasons that will become clear later, it was a whole lot of fun to record. I hope you enjoy it.
Nothing's gonna bring me down. No thinking about the past while we're building for tomorrow. Nothing's gonna bring me down.
Great to see you. We didn't have much of a chance to catch up. We were at Hebridean, but it seems like there's been tons of stuff going on with you too as your empire gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Some news hot off the press as well. You've been nominated for yet another award.
Yeah, that's right. We've been nominated for 2 awards this year. We've got Great British Entrepreneur Awards, Startup of the Year, and the British Business Excellence Awards, New Business of the Year as well. So both these we'll find out in November how we get on.
So for folk who maybe aren't as familiar with you as others, you have been involved at the heart of the Hebridean Festival for a long, long time. Your business has basically just grown and grown and grown really over the last sort of couple of years just.
Yeah.
Can you give us a bit of background to yourself, where the businesses came from and how you got involved in the festival?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of born and brought up in Stornoway in Isle of Lewis. Family had a business then, so I've always kind of been around business, been around the construction industry as well from a very kind of young age. Back in the day when it wasn't frowned upon to take children to work to do wee tasks, you know. So I suppose there's always been that through my grandfather, my father's kind of guidance and experience. There's always been that interaction, I suppose, with going and doing and kind of being able to, you know, being part of the process that creates opportunity for people, which is kind of deeply instilled in us. I suppose I got involved in Hebridean first when I was 14, through my cousin and her mother. It's like, you need to go and kind of come and help pick up rubbish and just help with a bit of the stewarding and that. and really loved it. It was something to do in the summer. It was totally different. Hardly anybody was doing it then, and from there it just the passion grew. The following year I asked if I could get involved again, so got involved in that again, and then started working as part of the kind of stewarding team. Then we started moving into the kind of local security team. As the festival started growing, we then began to realise, we needed somebody on the ground to help pull all the bits together. So there was essentially a point of contact, and that's when the site manager's role was kind of grown or created, and I was offered that role back in 2015, maybe 2016.
So what kind of scale would the festival been at that point?
2016 was probably one of our busiest years because we had Van Morrison and Runrig playing.
So just starting off gently then?
Aye, yeah, thrown in the deep end, Why not? Best way to learn, sink or swim. And if you've got the drive, you'll swim and you'll push through it, So it was really, really good. It was a new role, but it was stuff we'd already been doing, so it wasn't totally alien to you.
So what kind of things were you doing? I mean, you talk about security, boots on the ground. What does that actually mean? What does it take to run something at that point?
What the job role, I suppose what the job role description is and what the actuality of carrying out the job is two total different things. When you're passionate about something and you really buy into what it means for all the volunteers, but for the local community as well, then you it's like you're going to hyperdrive to make sure all the bits are in place. It all comes together. You've got a week to pull off basically a £750,000 project to build it from scratch. So you go into a greenfield site, there's nothing there. And then you organise all the loads coming in, you put your ground protection down, you then start, put your fencing up, you get your cabins in place, your tents come in, marquees come in, you start building your infrastructure around about that, so all your electric, your lighting, your kind of site roads, your service roads, the backstage areas, you start laying out the toilets, you build your urinals, which is, I would say they're one of Murdo's legacies. They've probably been around the festival for about 15-20 years, these big stainless steel troughs that we plumb in every year. But it's full on, but it's good. You get a real kind of buzz out of it.
You're essentially creating them in the village out of nothing.
Yeah, you create a village out of nothing.
And you're doing that in a week, checking it all, and then you're tearing it all down again.
A week later. It's mental. Some people think it's madness. And then when the event's on, now when it's on, we're it's grown a lot. There's a lot more infrastructure. We've got a lot more variety with food traders. We had more bars this year than ever before. We had our biggest capacity as well this year, so we've kind of grown a bit. And you kind of when the event's on, you're always switched on. You're always kind of plugged into what's going on, because if a decision needs to be made, then the buck stops with you essentially before it goes to the board. There's a lot of responsibility when the site's open. There's a lot of responsibility throughout the whole kind of build, hosting the event, and then the break of the event as well. When it's on, you're ultimately responsible for nearly 6,000 people and their safety and well-being. So when decisions need to be made, you need to make the right decision, and you need to make it very, very quickly. And I suppose that's really helped with my own kind of personal life and the kind of the business as well. If I didn't have that experience, then I don't think I would be where I am today without Hebkelt, and that kind of, the family business grounding and the Hebkelt grounding and the merger of both of them.
Just those transferable skills, that intelligent thinking, that sort of forward planning, the awareness of what might happen as well as what's actually happening.
Yeah, and what will happen when you make that decision, what are the repercussions of that decision. So you need to Yeah, it burls about in your head a lot, you know.
There must be something else about this in particular though, because it's not like other festivals on the mainland. You're on an island, you're on Lewis.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of curveballs I can imagine have been thrown your way over the years.
There's been a couple. Last year we had, so 2022, we had a couple of curveballs thrown at us. Some kind of moments that made you stop and wonder, why do we do this? I think we're aware of the issues with the tents in Tyree and that. And it's incredible how, global events had a massive impact on the events industry last year with the war in Ukraine and the Home Office kind of doing what they did with visas and stuff. That meant that a lot of our suppliers who rely on European labour couldn't get the labour into the country, which then had a knock-on effect on a lot of events throughout Scotland, really. And I suppose they couldn't get their guys in, so then they had to let people down. Fortunately, we were quite lucky in that sense that we weren't let down. I was driving up to the ferry on the Wednesday morning to go and build Hebcelt, and the guy phoned and he goes, "I hope you're sitting down." I think, well, funnily enough, I am sitting down. I'm driving to the ferry to build this festival. I hope you've got good news for us. I've got guys, I've got a team. They'll be up late. They're having to work really, really hard to get other stuff down, and he lost guys as well. He had guys that were out working on other sites in Ireland, and another contractor came in and says, "We'll give you an extra £1 an hour," and took the guys away, So it there's a lot kind of goes on in the background to pull it together and make sure that it comes together for people to enjoy. The other thing was our security company. You have a minimum number of security and stewards that you need to be able to pull off the event safely, and they rocked up off the ferry with below that number, and you just think, this is a Thursday afternoon, we're opening gates in 4 hours, and we're getting told, well, hang on a minute, we don't have enough people to pull it off. We had our meeting, we pulled in the relevant departments, we ended up getting additional people onto the island with the relevant licences and flying them up and absorbing that cost. Local agencies helped step in and support and offer guidance, and that was a touch and go moment, that. But again, it just shows the resilience of the community and the people that we work with, and how everybody pulls together to make it all happen.
I noticed you had a new security crew up this year.
Yeah.
They seem very capable.
Brilliant. Really, really impressed with them. Darren and the team at Adamantine, they came up for the meetings. They came up to Inverness to meet us initially, which I thought, right, okay, kind of brownie points there. Then you're saying, look, I'd really like to go up to Stornoway to see the site, to get familiar with it before we send the guys up. And so went up, met him up there, went through everything with him, showed him the layout, where everything was. Briefing pack came together from him, and the quality of service is just exceptional. Carrying out during the event as well, the staff were really friendly, and that's a lot of the feedback I've been getting, and the board have been getting about the security company this year, where they were very, very friendly, very capable, helpful, and that makes a huge difference. It makes a big, big difference everywhere you go, because when you're going out, if you're going in town, if you're going to a festival or a concert, the first people you meet are the security guys and girls, checking your wristbands, doing your bag searches and whatnot. And if you've got somebody that's kind of wound up or kind of mildly aggro, then it just puts you in the wrong mindset for going in, and you're not going to enjoy it. Whereas if you've got somebody who welcomes you and is smiling and saying, welcome, hi, how are you doing? Thanks for coming. It makes you feel good about yourself. So you're going into the gig with a positive mindset. One of the things he was saying, we're not we're not security, we're customer service enhancers, you know. And it's like, totally on the same wavelength as us, and know what it's about, you know, there for the right reasons, I suppose.
It says a lot about them, you and other members of the organising team, because obviously Graham McCallum was in charge for the first time, new director after Callum McLennan's stepped down. There was a few changes to the way you got into the festival, access to the festival. It was a different route to Lewis Castle's grounds, which if anyone hasn't been up yet, first of all you should come. But it's a beautiful woodland park area with the castle, the harbour to its side. So there's a lot of changes there. As far as I could see, it didn't seem to be any issues with that. It was free flowing. The sites seemed to be a bit more spread out, but perhaps offering a bit more. You must have put in a hell of a lot of work over the last 12 months to say this is how it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of planning goes into it. We had, for years, I mean, since inception really, we used the bottom of the green as the public entrance. And our accessibility guests, they came in there with their cars as well. The artists and site deliveries came in the same gate. So that was starting to get really, really busy. And it was probably one of our highest risk areas, was that kind of people and vehicle interface area. So we're constantly looking at ways to improve the experience and improve the safety as well. So last couple of years we've been looking at what we could do differently. Police, fire and ambulance were involved in helping kind of shape the new entrance. The work that's been done on the ground, you know, they've done a lot of work over the last few years, and the bridge is looking really good, the grounds are looking really good. It's like, well, why don't we showcase these bits as well? You know, Porter's Lodge has been done up, so you come in the Porter's Lodge, it's a really nice entrance. Walk up past the golf course, you've got your trees, it's a really nice kind of gentle slope up to the site, and then come over the bridge and you can see, you know, actually appreciate that, and you see the castle coming in. So, you know, the plus side is you don't have people and vehicles mixing either. By all accounts, I believe we've done the right thing, and I've not had any kind of negative feedback on it.
So you got into this, as you said, because Relative says, get involved, you know, do your bit for the community. That's obviously stuck with you. You can see how fiercely proud you are from being from the area. That journey for you has continued over a couple of decades now. You're on the board, you're running the site, you've acquired all these skills. But what's it you look for in people who are wanting to get involved?
What I look for is people that have grit and determination. They've got a spark, they want to do. The opportunity is quite unique, and we're really quite proud that we take on local young people to kind of help build the site, because that's how we got involved. We want to carry that on. What I liked about it was it gives you the opportunity to meet people and experience things that on an island you don't necessarily get to experience. And there wouldn't be the same opportunity if, you know, Hebkill wasn't taking place to that scale. So it's people that are passionate about what they do, they want to learn, they want to kind of get involved, ask questions, showing an interest.
You must get some familiar faces come back year after year.
People have been coming for over 20 years, you know. And you develop a really close-knit bond with people. You get people that'll maybe do 1 year, it's hard work, there's a lot of graft involved, and if you're not, you know, from the site point of view, if you're not used to kind of hard work and that kind of long hours and that, then there will be other roles within the kind of the festival that might work for you better. But, you know, you work hard with people, everybody works hard, whatever they do. And everybody has that appreciation of what Hebkill means to the community and what it means to the kind of family of volunteers, because that's what it is. It's a big, big family of people, of volunteers, staff, even your kind of security staff that come up, external contractors, the emergency services, everybody just pulls together. The atmosphere is fantastic, you know.
You always come across as being very zen when I see you on site. You know, it could be raining, it could be sunny, it could be huge crowds because the big act's coming on. There could be some mini crisis in the background. Is it a bit like a duck with water where you're paddling away and then...
You have to. You need to. Flipping out. I mean, if you... Yeah, it can be... But you've got to be that kind of... You know, you have to be focused, you've got to be switched on for your team. You know, if the team have questions or if they're in crisis or if, you know, something's going on, then if you start panicking or kind of getting fraught, then that'll cascade down. So you have to hold it together, and you've got to kind of pull everyone together and kind of just make sure everybody's able to react and do what they need to do to get it over the line.
You must have a few stories as well. Is there anything particularly that you can look back on now and have a good old belly laugh at? Or has there maybe been a situation that you felt particularly proud at the way you and the team managed to deal with it and handle it?
So 2019, they'd just finished the drainage on the green. It was wet. There was a lot of water, surface water. I mean, by that point, we've been doing it for nearly 20 years. So it's like you know the layout of the green. You know how you just know it. But the surface water was insane, and we had the walk round. There was a Wednesday before gates, and where you came up the road to the side of the site, and you came off the road onto the grass and around the top of the main stage there. And it was getting really, really boggy. And SAG were saying that we needed to look at this and put measures in place to reduce the risk of people kind of breaking ankles, sprains, slips, trips, falls. And we ended up putting down a 200-metre run of Taram off the road. Started about 8-9 o'clock at night, and we ended up having to put 80 tonne of hardcore and sand down to create a road into the green. And we finished that it must have been back at 4 in the morning on Thursday morning. And just the way the team pulled together, we had Luke and the other boys from Duncan Mackay's, who are one of our event sponsors, running lorries to and from site with hardcore, and then we're having to handball all the site because you couldn't get the diggers in under the trees. That was a moment. If you did it, then we wouldn't have made the cut off for ordering that roll of Taram to get into the ferry, which then would have meant the stuff would probably have to go on top of just straight onto the grass. It just drove home again that kind of team effort and how everybody's invested and wants to make it happen. You've got young lads that work for one of our sponsors that are putting everything into making this happen as well, and the team and everybody just cracked on and got it done. Thursday morning it was all done, ready to go. And it's like, very rarely do you see that come together and happen without somebody, people willingly wanting to do it rather than doing it because they want to do it. It's like saying you're handballing 80 tonne of shingle and sand. It's no easy, and nobody really wants to do that, I'd imagine, but everybody wanted to do it, because not doing it would mean goodness knows what it would have meant. That would have been up for the SAG to decide, but they pulled it together and we made it happen.
Talk about SAG, what does that mean?
It's a safety advisory group. So that's your council, environmental health, emergency planning, the NHS, fire, ambulance, police, Coast Guard. So every event goes through a SAG process, or it should, I'd imagine, whereby they go through your plans, that see what you've got in place through your risk assessments, your safe systems of work, through your traders, making sure all the insurances are in place. It's basically a vetting process to ensure that you're fit and safe to hold the event and to let people in. And then off the back of the SAG's decision, you get issued your licences, your alcohol licence or your private entertainment's licence.
So one of the perks of the job, I'd imagine, is you get to meet some pretty cool people. You'll see them going around, you'll see some music. Has there been any highlights on that front that as a byproduct of the work that you're doing, that you've been able to say, I'm glad I saw that?
One of my highlights this year was, one of my best friends standing on main stage, belting out Wagon Wheel, and for me, I was like, I felt really proud of Willie for doing that, because I know how nervous he was before doing it, and just going into the pit and watching him belt it out, it was just like, better not swear, but on you go, boy, and seeing, local artists that come on stage and then, they've grown up with the festival and they've gone through the motions. They've kind of started, and with the fascias and that, and then kind of growing up, and then, they play the acoustic stage, island stage, and then they're on main stage and that. It's really, really good to see.
What about you? What kind of music did you grow up with? Is there, anything that you've seen come through that you still turn to?
It's Runrig. I mean, who's not a Runrig fan, really? That used to be our kind of thing. Was obviously kind of going away on the ferry, and you'd get the morning boat, and you'd take your carry out with you, and you'd just go on the piss for a couple of days down to Glasgow to see them.
Favourite Runrig tune?
Protera. Definitely Protera. Means a lot. And then Nightworks. I think Nightworks are they've been brilliant. We did some work with the boys back in 2012. We put on an after event after Hebkilt, Kyle and I, called Afterburner, and we still keep in touch with the guys, and it was really good to see them there this year and kind of get a good catch up with them as well.
What was the last song or podcast you listened to?
The last podcast I listened to was The Good Stuff in Between with Naomi.
That's a good answer.
Good answer. No, it's really enjoyed that, and we know Naomi. I think what she's doing with the event grads and that is fantastic.
We normally ask folk whether or not they'd go to. You prefer an exclusive album launch or a festival?
Festival.
Is there a reason?
Just trying not to be disrespectful, but just being appreciative of the work that goes into it, and and the incredible talent behind the scenes that pulls it all together. It's not like it just pops out a box and away you go. So yeah, that's...
Your favourite food or rider that you've seen?
The best rider I've ever seen was the chair, and they asked for a Guga. It's flipping stinking. I don't even think they took it away. I think somebody snaffled it.
If you could collaborate with anyone, alive or dead, on a project, what would it be?
Flipping heck, that's a good question, Shaun. You got me really stumped. I don't know. I think what's one of my main drivers is creating opportunities for people, and if I can work with businesses throughout the Highlands and Islands region and eventually globally, I'm pulling in strategic partners. Part of the vision is to give people within the area the opportunity to work abroad without having to move abroad, and or experience working in different areas of the country without actually having to make that commitment to move. Any other business, just other kind of business owners that kind of buy into that, I suppose.
Are you somebody who likes restaurants, cinema, or a lazy Sunday brunch?
See, restaurant. Yeah, I like my food. Love my food. Love really good food, and I don't drink a lot, or very, very, very little. But I'd rather go out and enjoy a good feed and pay a bit more for it.
Are you a digital addict, or can you switch off?
I can switch off. Yeah.
And what does life look like for you after you stop?
I don't think I'll ever stop. I can't see me not doing something. I'm going for my pilot's license.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that kind of no barriers, or just if we say we service an area, and we need to go there, then hopefully one day we'll have our own plane and we'll just go.
One artist you think everyone should be listening to right now?
It's just too many of them. It's really, really, really hard. I'm going to go with Pete and Diesel just now, because I just love watching them and the crowd reaction to them, and just how kind of, I suppose, kind of homegrown and kind of humble they are as well. Yeah.
And from where you started to where you are now, what's been the good stuff in between?
It's been a fair journey so far, and hopefully there'll be many, many more years of it to come. And I think is, being able to create 14 new jobs that haven't existed in less than 3 years that's a really good stuff for me. Two of my guys in the last month they've just been able to buy their first homes, two of the team have just had babies as well, and it's kind of actually been in a position to help them. It's just really good. It's really, really good.
And one piece of advice that you've been given, or a hand up, that you would share with other people?
Sometimes you're better to ask for forgiveness than wait for permission, as my grandfather used to say to me. You need to be wise with your decision making, but if what you're going to do isn't going to put somebody out, isn't going to harm anyone or cause any damage, then it can only be a good thing that comes out of it. So go for it and don't limit yourself.
We've had traffic signals, we've had buses, it's now chucking it down the rain and you haven't flinched. Iain Macphail, thank you very much.
Thank you, Shaun. Really appreciate the opportunity.
This was a Good Stuff In Between podcast with me, Shaun Milne. Huge thanks to Iain Macphail for giving up his Sunday to offer such a brilliant insight into his role and his advice for others on how to get involved. Today's show was written, edited and produced by myself at Skog Media. Our title music is Nothing's Going to Bring Me Down, courtesy of Willie Campbell. You can find more of Willie's music at williecampbell.co.uk. Meantime, you can follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn at Good Stuff In Between, and do drop us a line if you're interested in getting involved. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time as usual with special guest Craig Corse, Director and Live Agent at CCM Live, who represent the likes of Siobhan Miller, Rura and Talisk. So watch out for that dropping soon, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.
So let me hold you close, my dear. Nothing's gonna bring me down. No thinking about the past while we're building for tomorrow. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna bring me down. No thinking about the past while we're building for tomorrow.